Ladies, I am so tremendously excited. You're so lucky you're watching now because I'm on to see Julia Hunter, who's in London from Los Angeles for a week, Julia? Or a little bit. 3 weeks, okay. Now, Dr. Julia is the woman that I have fanatical conversations with. So anyway, here we are. She might even today be doing a treatment on me for grapey tightening of skin, which I'm
not that she has any of that.
No, but the thing is today, you're going to see it all. I think a lot of women I meet, Julia, have a real lack in body confidence, which comes from how they view themselves as a woman in a mirror and looking down, which I think is the worst
which is
way.
frightening.
You know, women will say to me, I
because
can't
it's
wear...
like lighting in movies, okay? What they do is, in order to make people look fabulous so that you can't see the wrinkles, they light you from the front, okay? Yeah. Because when they light you from above, you see every line, you get all the shadows, okay? Yeah. So everybody thinks they look worse than they do. And the other thing that I've learned over the years is, look, people, we all hate ourselves. It's the human condition.
Well, I think I'm going to challenge that, Julia, because I think it's really important for women to love themselves. I think there's elements of us which we might think, oh, I wish that would go away.
Right.
But I believe so much in the community, the Trinny London community. Right. It's about really loving yourself. So I see that the most important thing is you get heart fuel.
Right.
Okay, that's the most important thing. Support from your sister's heart fuel.
Yes.
And then confidence through, you know, we give advice on how you can look good and feel good inside as a result. But, you know, those two are very conjoined, Julia.
Absolutely.
And so I think I want women to feel, well, this niggles me. So, you know, some of you, it might be a huge niggle. It might be something where you don't go out anymore in a bikini kind of niggle or a swimsuit kind of niggle. It might be that you've lost the confidence because maybe you're in a slightly, this is a big thing for women, Julie. Right. You're going to have this women who have separated from their partners and they're starting again to have a sex life.
And they don't want to be seen naked.
For 10 years.
But the thing is, okay, people, and this is what I've learned over the years, is women, because they see people who are in the public eye a lot, who have, 30,000 pounds or dollars of hair and makeup and they've been wrapped and they've been tortured and exercised like crazy before they do, some public thing where they're seen, okay? But when you see them in their everyday life, they look oftentimes much worse than people who say, oh, I can't stand these saddlebags, or, I've had a baby and this is loose, when in fact, and I've seen this also in
Julia knows
practice.
this well because she lives in LA and sees celebrity and so you kind of have that fishbowl knowledge.
Right, but also I see people who they'll come in and they'll say to me, this saddlebag, this crepey skin, this loose whatever, or this brown spot is ruining my life. When in fact, then they go out and the next person comes in and says, oh, can you make me look like she looks? So at the end of the day, we do need to appreciate ourselves. I mean, it is what you're talking about with heart fuel, because at the end of the day, everybody, whether they're 16, okay, now maybe not at 12, but at 16 when the estrogen starts to rise with women, okay? And nowadays with men, their testosterone is really low. So you have young men nowadays who they're starting to get a stomach. They can't get an erection. I mean, at 21 nowadays.
Why is that? Because there's less testosterone?
Well, because their testosterone's low, their DHEA, which is a hormone that comes out of...
Why is it lower now compared to 20 years ago?
Because pesticides, xenoestrogens, those estrogens that you get from plastics, you get from some of the chemicals that are in things, okay?
The plastics in the air.
Heavy metals blowing out of the back of airplanes, from all sorts of things. We're all being poisoned to a certain extent, which is why we care about what you eat and about exercise and all those other things. But at the end of the day, everybody's skin, okay? I mean, look, young girls can have really big arms, okay? So big arms, and a lot of those things are symptoms that people need to know about, because some of it is genetics and some of it is, look, if your thyroid's low, you start to get big, fatter arms. Okay,
is that an indication for you as a doctor
it's an
of a
indication.
low thyroid?
I mean, they need to, especially, look, people start to get cellulite at a really young age.
Yeah.
Some of that's genetics. Some of it is because young women nowadays have higher estrogens. And the reason is because plastics, plasticizers, some of the chemicals that are in the environment, in prepared foods, etc., they raise their estrogen levels. Yeah. One of the reasons young women have so many period problems now.
More than before, because I feel it's
much
more than when
before.
I had my period before. Yeah,
right, is because their progesterone's too low, their estrogen's too high, and usually that means their thyroid's low.
Just if we take it back to how we look at the body and how it can change, if you have a low thyroid, you might have that might be something that's going on there that will be floppy, and
floppy
if you have high
arms,
estrogen, you might also have sagging skin.
Okay, so older women,
because it's different. Because
when their estrogen is lower,
yeah,
okay, like I have women who come into my office and say, "Oh, my body was fine until yesterday, and yesterday I started getting all this crepey on my arms."
Yeah, it is. It's so much that yesterday it started happening. It's so true. Yeah.
And they say yesterday my knees fell. Yesterday this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what that means is their estrogen level went to a much lower level.
Yeah.
Now, that can be caused by stress to a certain extent.
So you because can have a dip for stress, and then when you get out of
your
stress,
adrenals are low.
Yeah.
Your adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys, if they're low, okay, all of a sudden your estrogen will go down.
Yeah.
Because even after you stop popping an egg, you're still making estrogen for a good 2 years or so.
But you get to my stage, I'm 55, but there's no estrogen anywhere near me or my backyard or the land I live in.
Well, you still may be putting some, I don't know. When I look at you, I think
but
you
when
probably
you did
have
my
some
test,
estrogen.
do you remember?
Okay.
You did my test, and there was no estrogen there, literally, to speak of. It was like...
Well,
so
you still may make some in your adrenals. Remember, blood work is a snapshot of how many cars are going down the highway, but it doesn't tell you if those cars get to their destination, which is the cell. Okay,
that's so complicated. You have to slow down on that one. So it's
blood work.
Yeah. So somebody has their blood work done. So let's say I had it done, and it says to me, low estrogen, no progesterone, no testosterone.
Okay, so what you then have to ask people is the symptoms of low estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. Okay, and we can go over that, but because the destination, the cars are going down the highway, that's blood work. Blood work shows you how many cars are going down the highway.
Okay, so how much activity there is.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what it doesn't tell you is if the cars get to their destination, meaning, and the destination is the cell.
Okay, so meaning does estrogen get to here to help my skin be tighter?
Right. And so your estrogen can be 0 in your blood work, but you have none of the symptoms of low estrogen, which means that your cells are still getting some estrogen.
But where from if there's nothing
from
in the
your
tank?
adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys.
So they can still produce it later?
For a certain period of time.
This is
and
now,
the more stressed you are, the less they produce. The less
they produce.
They produce.
All right. So if you're unstressed, they'll still give you. They won't give you cortisol, and they'll give you estrogen. And if you're stressed, they'll give you cortisol and hardly any estrogen.
They'll give you less estrogen and more cortisol because if you're stressed, you're in fight or flight all the time.
Can menopause cause this?
This is, I mean, we're talking a tremendous amount of menopausal symptoms here, aren't we? When we talk about estrogen going down, because going into menopause is the loss of hormonal input into your body, isn't it?
Yes, but the most important thing is to start. Look, you have to look at it all as like building a house, okay? You build a house on a firm foundation. The firm foundation of healthy hormones at any age is number one, thyroid, and it's an epidemic of low thyroid in today's world. And the reason is because everybody is so stressed out, and when your adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys are all stressed out, and whether it be your age whoever's age,
if your adrenals are low, your adrenal glands and your thyroid are best friends. And if your adrenals are low, your thyroid will get low secondarily.
So women who are going through menopause who feel my hair's thinner, are their, by default, adrenals getting low?
So when you look at hair loss, the number one cause of hair loss is low iron.
Yeah.
And as women go into menopause and stop bleeding, most doctors do not do their iron and ferritin blood work, okay? Iron and ferritin are the number one thing you do for when women are losing their hair. Vegetarians usually don't have enough iron, okay? A really good one, if I can mention it, that's a water-soluble one, which means when you take it, if your body doesn't need it, it'll just poop it out, okay? Is Floridix, which is a Swiss product.
Yes,
okay?
I love that.
And you just follow the dose on the bottom. Number one cause of hair loss is low iron. The number two cause of hair loss is low adrenals. The number three cause of hair loss is low thyroid.
Okay.
So most women, as they're going into menopause, because look, everybody's all stressed out nowadays. I mean, it's a huge cause of increasing the risk of cancer, stress, okay? Because it depresses your immune system.
Yeah.
So we all need to get right with our hearts and try to figure out how to purge stress, If your adrenals are low, you wake up in the morning, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Okay? You just want to pull the covers over your head, you don't want to get out. Okay?
So your adrenal, I take your adrenal plus, or your adrenal...
Life Force.
Life Force.
Yeah.
So
that keeps you...
Okay, so you say so your adrenals are low. So if you're not going to the doctor and you're at home, because a lot of women might sit at home and try and self-diagnose. I just have to say that, because I do that. And I think we can all read something or listen to something and think, oh, that's me.
At any age, whether it be your age or any age, look, you have young women nowadays who don't start their period till they're 16 or whatever. Their thyroid's probably low. Is it is it the adrenals or the thyroid? Well, sometimes you have to delve into that, okay? Which is the chicken, which is the egg, okay? You get young women who start their period and then they stop their period, okay? That can be thyroid, generally, okay? You have young women who have terrible period cramping and heavy bleeding. That's low progesterone. You have women as they start to go...
So what do you do? Just so, I mean, there might be some... I'm sure
well, the
girls
first
in my
thing I
office,
do
a
is
lot
I
of them
look
have.
at their thyroid first, okay? But, I mean, look.
How could they diagnose
So the more
it
you
themselves?
exercise, so here's the other thing. Well, I mean, look at the symptoms. So if your fingers and toes are cold, your thyroid is generally low. This is one of the symptoms I always ask people, okay? Look at your tongue. If it's fluted, scalloped on the edge like a plate, yours is not, okay? You exercise. Because the more you exercise makes your thyroid better.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to exercise like a lunatic, but if you exercise like 3 days a week, and so thyroid, exercise makes your thyroid better, okay? If you eat seaweed salad, iodine makes your thyroid better, okay?
So if I take iodine, which I've got in my supplements, as a pure...
Good for your thyroid,
it's
because your thyroid needs iodine to make thyroid hormone, okay? And also your immune system uses iodine to kill. So it's good, it kills two birds with one stone. It's good for both things, okay? But with thyroid, you want to exercise. With thyroid, you want to relieve your stress to a certain extent, as much as you can, whether it be screaming, whether it be exercising. Exercise helps relieve your stress. You know, have a sense of humor, all those other things. But so if people are exhausted in the afternoon, so people will tell you, oh, at 4 o'clock, I can't stay awake.
It could be blood sugar levels.
It could be blood sugar. It could be they didn't eat lunch. It could be their protein is low. So they're better having really some protein, which will feed their adrenals to a certain extent. But I mean, why do the Brits have a cup of tea at 4 o'clock? Okay, why do we all have a coffee at whatever time? Because our cortisol is going down from our adrenal glands, okay? And we probably started with too low of a cortisol from being in fight and flight all the time, okay? All stressed out. And so if you wake up in the morning, what wakes you up in the morning when your eyes open without an alarm is because your cortisol goes up from your adrenal glands. Okay? So when people are exhausted in the morning, they can't get up, they're starting at a cortisol level that's too low. That makes their thyroid low. Some women are much more voluptuous, they have bigger breasts, they're much more nurturing, Those are women who genetically have higher estrogen. Okay, estradiol equals estrogen.
Can I give you my thought on that?
Yeah.
I think from dressing women, for 3,000 women, women who are long-legged and short-bodied, who have bigger breasts and maybe a bigger upper arm, have worse mastocytosis. They have worse fibrocystic disease. They find it harder to turn their tummy, obviously, and they get worse menopausal symptoms.
And you want me to tell you why that is scientifically?
Tell me.
Scientifically.
I always say this is
scientifically. Yes. It's like, and they become more pear-shaped. They have long, maybe their legs are thin, but they have the bigger bodies. Those women have more estrogen. The higher your estrogen is, the lower your thyroid is. It depresses thyroid function. So why
So
do
if I have
young
a low
women,
estrogen, I have a high thyroid?
No. Well, not necessarily. It doesn't follow like that, okay? But, so young women do not start having thyroid problems until they go through puberty, when their estrogen starts to rise, okay? When your estrogen starts to rise, the higher your estrogen is, the bigger your breast, okay? The more you struggle with your weight, the more you have cellulite, then your estrogen in your blood and in your cells is higher, because estrogen and progesterone need to be in a ratio, and if your thyroid's low, your progesterone is low, and so that makes your high estrogen higher. So what do you do if you have high estrogen? Okay, whether you just
what
have.
Do you do?
Okay,
what
so
do you
at
do?
the
So
end
let's
of
say
the
you're a
day,
woman
what
and you're
matters is what do you do?
What do you do?
Okay?
Exactly.
So number one is you exercise, okay? Because exercise and sweating. So if you don't sweat, your thyroid's low. Like one of the questions I say to people is, when you exercise, do you sweat?
Okay.
People who tell you they don't ever sweat, their thyroid's low.
The more broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, green that you eat, the better. Okay?
Yeah.
Whether that be herbs, as you Brits say, or whatever's green. The darker the green, the better.
Yeah, fine.
Garlic, onions, all those things help bring down the bad estrogen, and will help lower your estrogen. Exercise helps lower your estrogen because it raises your thyroid.
Yeah.
And then you don't eat a lot of carbs and all the things that we love, sweets. Those things
bring
will
up your
run
estrogen.
up your estrogen to a certain extent. Okay. Now, with some women, it's genetic. The more stressed out you are, your estrogen will go up higher, because nature, because of preservation for of the species, wants your estrogen to be high. You're more likely to get pregnant.
Yeah. So your whole sort of body clock works against you. If you're younger, if you're into menopause, it's going to go. But, But a woman who's in the midst of having periods and everything.
Right.
The first thing you could do, which would be great, is to try and just get a reading of your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. I think this is not just applying to women who are going through menopause, but women who might feel, I really have trouble with my periods. I feel I'm very hormonally led in my life. Then I think that's the time in which to get those readings. In England, we're far worse than in America in going and getting blood work done.
Exactly.
It's like when you're really sick in England, you get blood work done. In America, it's like, let me look at this as a project, let's get some blood work done. Everyone is on a health insurance.
Everybody,
in England,
exactly.
it's different. You have to go to the National Health Service. It's like your doctor has to think, I'm going to give it to her. It's
well,
different.
And the other thing that I will say, and this is for the UK people, but also worldwide, because I get patients from around the world, so I see. The most important thing is, if you're getting your thyroid blood work done, and in the UK, they never do free T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone. They only do free T4.
What do you do if you have an underactive thyroid?
Well, number one is take iodine,
okay? And you can get that at the health food store. There's liquid iodine.
One of the things you can do to tell if you're low in iodine is you put it on your skin.
If it soaks it in
Yeah, 'cause iodine's a blue
15
pill.
minutes, 30 minutes, you know your iodine's low. You follow the dose on the bottle, okay?
Can you take estrogen for menopause?
Yes, you can.
Yes, there's two different kinds. One is the estrogen of young women that's called estriol, okay?
Which is what I take from you as
Estriol.
topical.
Yeah,
Estriol.
and estriol is, as we say in the U.S., it's estrogen of young women. It's the one, you can put it on your skin, it plumps up your skin. You can put it on your hands, it plumps up your skin, it helps crepey skin, da-da-da.
Yeah.
I have women
Who have breastfed, who have really breasts
boobs.
that have gotten very, they're not plump anymore. I have them rubbing it on that because it helps plump them up. It makes your nipples pinker when you're in. All these really good things.
Right.
Okay. The other one, which is the stronger one, is estradiol, as you say, which is a prescription. Okay. And yes, if you take it, but you cannot take estradiol without progesterone because they have to be in a ratio.
Yeah.
Whether you've had a hysterectomy or not, every cell in your body has a receptor for progesterone, estradiol, DHEA, testosterone. So you have to keep it all in a ratio.
Yeah. Otherwise, there is a very small chance of a cervical cancer.
Yeah, of endometrial.
well, if you've had a hysterectomy, you're not going to have endometrial, but
It increases your risk, and it really, in my opinion, should only be bioidentical. Okay,
Yeah,
because the synthetics, I think, and based on the studies, the medical studies, increase your risk of breast cancer because they overdose you.
Yeah, I think that this is a very contentious conversation because I think some
It's
women.
a contentious conversation.
It's just some women. And when you say synthetic, you mean HRT, you mean mare's urine, something where they've taken a derivative.
But there's
and created-
prescription ones that are
there's
they're
patches.
bioidentical to a large extent.
Yeah.
Okay, they've changed them a little bit. They're patented, but there's plenty of those that are
Yes.
fine. But it's my message is progesterone
And
with
is
estradiol.
estrogen.
Estradiol. Okay?
Okay.
And estrogen equals we say estrogen, and it's the same thing as estradiol basically.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
They're bioidentical. Your body produces them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They're
if you're
not
vegan,
animal-based.
eat lots of green. Look, soy to a certain extent. The problem with most soy is it's GMO. Okay, is the big problem, and so. But soy does it to a certain extent. Look, even if you're vegan, most people, we get so many chemicals that we're exposed to from so many different places that those are estrogen producing things.
Yeah.
What's more important is to be lowering the bad estrogen, which is estrone, ESTRONE, and that's what green does because that's anti-cancer, anti-bone cancer.
To me, you're doing more than opening a Pandora's box. But I think there's a lot of women who feel, but that's okay because I think it's
a huge
it's a
issue.
huge conversation,
And people don't know, and
they don't know where to start. Julia, there's a lot of women out there who don't necessarily have in England a GP who's really holistic, and as a result, he'll just say, "You look fine to me." There's some very black and white. GPs out there. There's some really enlightened good ones who really look like they would be doing a thyroid test and checking for the two different, all those pointers.
Right.
But rarer still.
Yeah.
So do read Julia's information. I take bioidentical hormone supplements, and I do believe them. I've done that for about 7 years now because I started going to menopause at about 46, 47. That I think
that's young for the Brit. You were all stressed out.
Yeah, no, but you know what? Also, I'd done 19 IVF, and I think the drugs took all those baby little eggs of 11 years of eggs.
Oh yeah,
really. Because my mother went at 55, and you should really go at the same age, I think.
Yeah, you should.
But I think the most interesting conversation here too is for mums of teenagers and young women in their 20s watching, and young women in their 20s watching, who maybe are not understanding how important, even before you go into a menopause, it is to address the balance of your hormone levels.
When you're young.
Yeah.
Well, the number one thing, and this is the other thing that I think is really important for everybody to understand, and that is, okay, what can they do for their adrenals as well?
Yeah,
because
really
remember, which is the chicken and which is the egg, thyroid or adrenals, okay? So for your adrenals, one of the things that everybody has access to is herbal adrenal products, the ashwagandhas, rhodiolas, holy basil, which you can get at health food stores.
Yeah, I take magnolia, rhodiola,
all those things.
Yes, and what's the one you say?
Ashwagandha.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
all of those things, and that helps people sleep. It helps people. And how do you know if it's working? Because it gives you some inner peace. Yeah. Okay, so if your adrenals are low, at night you wake up and your brain is whirring. Yeah. Okay. And it's one of the questions that I ask people. And so that's where you can do, and you can find a product, Victoria Health, whatever, that has a product that has ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil, all those sort of things. Now, the one that as we go down the path of life, because we need more, okay? The path of life, okay?
I've used this expression so many times since you said when we last had our conversation. I love the path of life, and I use your accent.
It's true.
As we go down the path of life.
Okay. The bottom line is you have to step up to the glandulars, okay, which is basically giving you adrenal. And people are so stressed out in today's world that part of what we're having to do nowadays is we give them like the adrenal life force, okay? Excuse me, we also give them, because your adrenals make hydrocortisone, okay? And they make about 20 milligrams a day. So what we'll do is give them adrenal life force, and then we give them hydrocortisone 5 milligrams once or twice a day, because they're so stressed out, it's not enough. Yeah. That's how stressed out people are today. Yeah. And if your adrenals are low, it makes your immune system low. Yeah.
All right, girls. So thank you for watching this. Not a rabbit hole, an enlightened journey.
Yeah,
thank you, Julia.
Thank you for that.